quite a long time away. And like I say, the Board of Elections said we have a legitimate reason.
The board's responsibility is to speak public, like the board's of appeals, planning commission.
I let council make the decision.
He's working on it.
I guess.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Dave and I talked about something already.
Of course.
What?
So that means that
Well, save the argument. We'll
Right here.
And we'll have a conversation about it.
Changing the noise.
I can support that.
I have worked
Oh,
on
to
it.
a pool seat.
Just saw it.
They didn't do any seat.
Oh, here.
Just try.
Yeah.
Okay. July, I think, when we did that, wasn't it? They still did that all the way through November.
How are you, dear?
Okay.
It's going to be worse right now when the leaves are on the trees. I was surprised. Yeah, and it was funny is if I'm walking the other way, the second I get up to the high store, I don't hear it. Just when I lived on Prospect,
Hey, Dom,
We sing the Hallelujah song.
I got that hallelujah on
After I listened to it, I was like,
I'm surprised they gave it to
you
me.
know that song. Yeah, and it's...
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call order the March 20th, 2024 regular council meeting, and welcome to the first full day of spring. It is Kent, Ohio, so we got what we got. Would the clerk please read the roll?
Mr. Amrine?
Here.
Ms. Selko? Here. Mr. De Leon?
Yeah, here.
Mr. Hook?
Move to excuse.
Second.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
Mr. Clapper?
Here?
Let's do that when we're done.
Oh, okay.
Mr. De Leon?
Here.
Gotcha.
We're gonna have to reset.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Here.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish? Here. Mr. Sidoti?
Here.
And Mr. Turner?
Here.
Okay, Mr. Hook has to be, he's out of town for the next few meetings.
Yes.
Is there
Move to
a
excuse.
Second.
second by Gwen? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. With Mr. Turner, you have opening remarks and the Pledge of Allegiance. No opening remarks. Just flags that way tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll need a motion for the minutes of the 21st, February 21st and March 6th.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Public communication with the clerk. Read. Do we have anybody signed in?
We do. First is Laura Monacki.
Laura, let me read something first. While the law does not require council to provide time for public communications, we have historically invited the public to make comments, and we appreciate their input. This is a time when residents and others can communicate on matters that concerns them. However, we will not engage in any debate. As President of Council, I reserve the right to end any public comments that are disruptive, embarrassing, harassment, or otherwise objectionable. We ask you come to the podium and give your name and address for the record, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Hi, my name's Laura Monacki. I live at 503 Laurel Drive in Kent. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Laura Monacki. I come before you today seeking change for all Kent residents, specifically addressing the current situation affecting the South Pearl Street neighborhood. The resident located at 202 South Pearl Street drives a semi-tractor trailer for Kuno Brothers in Newbury, Ohio. According to the company's safety director, he drops his trailer in Kent and drives the semi-tractor home each evening to park in his driveway. In the morning, anywhere between the hours of 3:30 and 5:30, he starts the tractor and allows it to idle in his driveway for minimally 30 to 45 minutes. As you can see from the photos, his driveway is approximately 10 feet from his nearest neighbor and 70 feet from my daughter's house across the street. The sound of the tractor idling and the vibrations emitted from the engine can be heard and felt at least 4 houses away on either side and across the street. This means that residents are awoken hours before their alarms and often unable to return to sleep. This action greatly impacts the neighborhood and disrupts normal expectations in a residential district. After several complaints to the City of Kent Police and a conversation between myself and Officer Auckland, I was informed that they couldn't do anything because the tractor is parked on private property and being operated within specs for the type of vehicle. I contacted Kuno Brothers themselves to find out the weight of the tractor. I was transferred to Kuno Brothers Safety Director Casey McNicholas, who informed me that the tractor weighed approximately 30,000 pounds, or 15 tons. He also informed me that taking the tractors home is a benefit that they provide their drivers, even if they live within a city and not in a rural setting. He also asked why I was, quote unquote, picking on a hard-working man, and informed me that I should be more concerned with the, quote unquote, hippie meth heads cooking meth in the neighborhood. I was shocked with his complete lack of care, his concern for any of the neighbors, and his unfounded accusations. Believe me, I am very grateful for the job that this driver is doing, along with every other working citizen. Finally, I reached out to our councilman, Jack Amrine. Now I'm here. First of all, as you can see again from the photos, this is a large commercial vehicle that does not in any way belong parked in a driveway in any residentially zoned district. No one buys or rents a home and expects to hear or feel noise and vibrations from a parked semi inside their home. My husband works for a local trucking company in Akron, and they don't even allow their trucks to idle next to their office building because of the disturbance it causes. In the city of Kent, we have several ordinances that speak to large commercial vehicles utilizing city streets and noise. Specifically, 351.17, parking large vehicles in residence districts, 339.02, use of local streets, and 509.12, unlawful noise between the hours of 9 p.m. and 8 a.m., quiet time in the city of Kent. Ordinance 35117 disallows numerous types of commercial vehicles, including semis, from parking on any residential street unless they are in service on that street. Please consider changes that would include parking large commercial vehicles on any property, private or public, within any residentially zoned district, unless said vehicle is in service at that property. Ordinance 33902 states no person shall operate a vehicle exceeding a gross weight of 5 tons on any street in the municipality other than a state route, except local streets designated as truck routes and marked by the appropriate signage. South Pearl Street has no such signage. And by my interpretation, it is illegal for this semi weighing 15 tons to be driven on South Pearl. Therefore, it was and is illegally parked on the private driveway, as one can reasonably assume that the vehicle did not fly there. This ordinance, I feel that the Kent Police should have been able to enforce. Please consider clarifying the verbiage on this ordinance so as to remove any chance for misinterpretation. Ordinance 50912 speaks to noise. Noise from idling cars and normal neighborhood sounds are expected, but vibrations and noise from an idling semi is not, especially not in the early morning hours, specifically designed as quiet hours. Furthermore, the city's decision to contract trash and recycling service to one company for all residents so as to limit the amount of overweight vehicles traveling on our residential streets is an example showing why these amendments should be considered. Please help me, help my daughter, and other residents like her to have enjoyment within their homes and on their properties without disturbance. Semi-tractors do not belong in residentially zoned districts and should be held to commercially zoned areas. Thank you for your time, consideration, and I will be available if further discussions are needed.
Thank you. Amy, further?
It's Tracy Wallach.
Name and address for the record, please.
Tracy Wallach, 231 Star Avenue, Kent. You don't need my phone number, do you? No.
No, we're not going to call you.
We know where to find you, though.
We know who you are.
I just wanted to urge council to reconsider adopting the new ward boundaries and instead possibly keeping the current ward boundaries the way they are. By doing this, you would be putting before the residents on the ballot in the fall a change in the city charter from a 10% difference in population in each ward needed for a change in the boundaries to a 15% change of the population for the changing of the ward boundaries. Since this would be voted on by the residents, there's a very, very small chance that the city would be sued for this. And I talked with the Board of Elections. They said the only other example they had of this was with Bowling Green, where they wanted to have a 65% difference in the change of residents in each population of the wards in order to make a change, which is a huge, huge amount. So they told me that all the city of Kent would need would be a legitimate reason for the change, 10% to 50%. And we have that legitimate reason because keeping the wards the way they are would make the wards more compact and contiguous, because otherwise they would cross the rivers and that would be geographically not very contiguous. And also, it would be less confusing to the residents. And believe me, residents get confused very easily. My husband worked the polls yesterday, and even with the low turnout, there was so much confusion going on with the ballots and everything else. So changing the wards the way that the new ones would be very confusing to residents. That's all. So I am encouraging you to, again, put on the ballot in the fall a charter change from 10% difference in population to 50% difference in population, which would keep the boundaries the same for the wards as they are right now. That's it.
Thank you. Further?
All right, we have KSS robotics team charged up.
We'll just ask for the address of the supervisor. I'll put it that way.
That's hysterical.
Hello, my name is Logan Crowley, and I'm going to tell you about our team. Hello, Mayor Fiala, esteemed council, city staff, and fellow citizens. We are First Lego League Team 37348 charged up. We are a group of kids in Portage County that meet 3 times a week at KSS Robotics in the Makerspace right here in Kent. This mission of FIRST is to provide life-changing robotics programs that can give young people skills, confidence, and strength to build a better world. To compete in this season, we had to design a robot build that can program autonomously and score points on a robot game in 2.5 minutes. The first part of our season was spent time researching our challenge statement. This year's statement was given to us by FIRST. This year's topic was sharing hobbies on a global scale. To research our problem, we met with experts such as the Akron Symphony Orchestra, the Akron Art Museum, a professional artist, and a Hollywood stuntman.
Can I?
Yep.
For the last several months, we've been spending time with the Kent State Advanced Telerobotics Research Lab, or ATR for short. The ATR has helped develop our project called Dip and Dabble. Dip and Dabble is a VR hobby library that allows you to choose from a library of hobbies that you can experience virtually. You can even connect it to a robot. As example, here's our prototype robot drone. We don't have the like metal and stuff to build it, so we had to work with Legos. If you use Dip and Dabble, you'll be able to drive said robot in places and see a 360 view of surroundings.
We competed at 3 events and received top awards. In fact, our last competition was the State of Ohio Championship. It was at this event our team had our season's best robot performance, and our project did very well again.
After 2 days of competing like crazy, our team was honorably awarded an advancement to the World Championship on April 15th to 20th. Ohio has almost 400 FLL teams, and only 2 get to go to represent the state. Our team was one of those. We wanted to come to you all today to let you know that we are working in improving our community at the same time. We would like to ask if you would provide any assistance in getting our word out about our event sponsorship opportunities and our GoFundMe campaign.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we are asking for help from our community to get us there. We thank you for the opportunity to speak with the council today.
Wow.
Thank you, very professional, believe me. If any people that gave a presentation, if you have your concern or whatever in writing, could you give it to the clerk so we can get it accurately in a minute?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Is it moved? I don't know what we're going to do. Are they going to demo it?
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, this is great.
You'll have to come back and report how you did. Thank you.
This is in Houston, Texas?
Yeah. Impressive. Great stuff.
No further?
Okay.
Amy?
That's all for public.
Okay, written communications.
The Planning Commission staff report and agenda was for March 5th was received on February 28th. Notification from the Community Development Department was received on March 6th that there would be no Board of Zoning meeting on March 18th. A letter from PARTA notifying council that Karen Beck's term on their board will be expiring June 30th, and asking council to take action to reappoint and replace her was received on March the 5th. Civil Service meeting agenda for March 18th was received on the 13th. The Standing Rock Cemetery Board agenda for March 14th was received February 29th. An email from Rick Hoxley regarding the Architectural Review Board was received and forwarded to council on February 21st, 2024. A request for a mayoral proclamation was received February 20th for the Davy Tree event being held on March 15th to commemorate their grand opening of their corporate office. An email from Rick Hoxley regarding the purposes of the design guidelines in communities was received and forwarded to council on March 14th. And a liquor license transfer request was received March 11th for Chipotle Mexican Grill of Colorado, LLC, doing business as Chipotle Mexican Grill, 4355, transferring licenses from 429 East Main Street to 605 East Main Street, Kent. Chief Shear had no objections to this transfer. Do we need a motion for that?
Move to
Without comment.
without comment, yes.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And then some additional communication. I received the Parks and Rec agenda packet for March 21st. I received that on March the 15th. I also received the Kent City Flag Commission meeting minutes. They met on March 13th. I received them the day after that. And I also received a few applications for various boards and commissions. For Parks and Rec, I received an application from Adam Livengood, Crystal Foster, and Chelsea Traveline. And then I did receive 2 additional apps for the Standing Rock Cemetery Board from Judith Shaw and Paul Tusek. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. City Manager report, Jack.
Yeah, I'd like to move items 1 through 14 in the city manager's report.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Is there any question? Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We're going to get into committee discussion and legislation. First one's committee of the whole. I need a motion to approve the minutes of March 6th.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I need a motion for the actions.
I'll move the 3 actions.
Can you
Second.
separate them, please?
Which one you want separated?
Separate out 3, please.
All 3 of them?
Number 3.
Oh, I'll move first and second action.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And I'll move the 3rd action.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion? Heidi?
Yeah, I am planning to vote no on this action because I still believe that it's important that we allow the voters to make a choice on this so that they can, if they choose, stay in the districts as is to avoid confusion.
Any other discussion? Robin?
The 3rd act, first off, I was a little confused the last time. I had missed 2 meetings, and I came back, and I think I was a little disoriented. At the time, I voted to accept. My understanding, I thought then, was, because I quite frankly had been told that there was not any action being taken, and so we weren't going to be doing anything with it. I thought that we were just trying to establish something with making sure that we had something in place for the wards. I still have yet to see that, by the way, on that. But the other issue, and more importantly to me, is that what occurred in this process was very disjointed. We were told, initially this passed, we were told or got information that there were concerns being raised by the Board of Elections regarding the validity of exactly the proposal that was that we were dealing with. Subsequently, I called the Board of Elections. They indicated, well, yeah, but we always give warnings, but it's nothing that would require that you were outside of the law on this. And any time anybody can sue. The issue that they brought up was what happened in Bowling Green. Well, Bowling Green was kind of outrageous. Their proposal was very expansive, and in looking at that, ours went from 10 to 15%. It looks, and then it was brought back to us. I think not to disparage any of the council people who decided to go a different way because they're concerned about the liability for the city, and I can respect that. But the reality was that, and everybody else was doing their job. The board, when the law director made us aware, they were just pointing out the possibilities. But the reality was that we really had already passed something, believed that we were in jeopardy, and I think also possibly believed that this was going to be illegal or that we could be sued by it. It was unconstitutional. Because that's where I was led to believe we were going, that this was an unconstitutional act on our part. It isn't. What we had accepted all along was reasonable. It wasn't a really out of line proposal. It was a minimal kind of shift, which would also allow our residents not to get put in a position where they're going to be wondering about where they have to go, when this would change. This would be a minimal change that would allow us to remain better, I think, connected to the residents of the community. They would be more, I think, supportive of it. But the bottom line of what Tracy was saying was, we'll put it on the ballot. They'll make a decision. At the end of the day, that's not unreasonable. Allow the residents to make a determination about whether or not they feel that the proposal is reasonable, something they would be willing to do or not do. And I'm hopeful that, and I'm like Heidi, I'm not going to support it now. I'm very concerned that I think that the aspects of contiguousness, history, all those things that go into a community will be disrupted and disjointed. And so I'm hopeful that we'll get another bite at the apple here, and we'll be willing to put this thing on the ballot. I think it's important. I think the residents will support the proposal, and I urge council to give it a chance, at least.
That more, Heidi?
Well, it's more of a question. I know we're kind of in a motion, but it's an action, so I don't know. I mean, if we suspend this action, could we then return to it? Because I'm a little bit worried about
There's
voting
a
it
motion
down.
on the floor, you're speaking to the motion. The motion was to
Yeah.
either accept this or deny it.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that if we vote it down, we won't be able to return to it. So, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of being boxed in a little bit, and I'd kind of like that. I'd like that assessment. Can we,
If I
if,
remember my Robert's rules, you can amend the motion that's on the floor.
Yeah. Are you looking at me? I'm not sure how you feel boxed in.
because if we vote this down, can it come back? Can we return to it, say, if the voters, if we fail to pass, if we don't put it on the, if we put it on the ballot and the voters vote it down, can we return to
We would
approving
have to.
this second map?
We would have to. The revised code requires us to be in that, or our charter requires us to be in that 10%. And right now, we are so far outside the window of when that should have happened. But I believe, as Bridget told us when this process started, because of COVID, I think that the state was just allowing everyone some of their good old time. I don't know when the election would be, if that would pass. If it was in November, I would be afraid that we're waiting too long, and we're out of that 10%. Our charter requires 10% right now. And if we don't have the vote until November, if what you and Robin and Tracy are suggesting, if it passes and goes there, we're just going to continue to remain out of compliance with our charter until that happens, and that can be an issue too.
It's kind of a whole new argument.
Yeah.
That's a whole new argument, and I feel kind of like a little bit deceived because we were told that we couldn't put it on the spring, and we have to have a certain window that we can put it on, and
I don't
it
believe
gets
anyone
very
deceived
confusing.
you. I don't know who. Are you saying that we deceived you?
Maybe I just got confused myself, because I thought this election, this coming up election, there was no concern about the maps changing prior to this.
There's not, and that's a different issue.
The
That is
fall
a presidential election.
Okay, but also that there wasn't any concern, I mean, because we could right away, based on how that election goes, if we get this on in the fall, we could right away decide to bring this back up or not.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But we'd have to wait until...
After the election.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to call for the motion. Would you reread the motion, please?
The motion is to approve the Action 3.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Let's have a show of hands. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Against?
Like,
What?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's tied.
It's,
Well, you're the man.
Interesting.
Well, you know, I've been here long enough to hear discussions every 10 years, and some of them are getting old. Robin, you talk about you have to cross, your ward was going to cross the river. When Representative Spain and Wilson were in office, it was across the river.
Yeah.
That has never changed. River Bend goes across the river. So I think what you bring up isn't a very valued point.
Point of order, are we like...
No, it's
having
my
to-
turn to vote, Heidi.
Yes.
So I'm going to vote in favor of number 3.
Oh, let the citizens know. that
All right,
we
let's
did not-
move on to the motion. We got to vote on boards and commissions. We had the interviews 2 weeks ago. Would the clerk
we have to approve those first?
We have one, or two applicants for the planning commission. Would you read the one name that we have there?
Kenneth Crookston.
Is there a motion to accept that?
So moved.
Second.
Who made the motions? Mike made the motion. Gwen, you seconded it?
Well, I think Jeff
Either one of us.
was a moment.
All right. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. We need a Board of Zoning Appeals. There's three applicants, or three vacancies.
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Heidi.
I would like to insert another name into the Planning Commission, and that would be Earl Clausen.
We need a second.
Need a second?
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion, further discussion, or not?
I just, I have communicated with him, and he said he was willing to serve, and I know that Bridget was pleased with his qualifications, and so we needed two. We have two openings on the Planning Commission, so.
Okay, any other discussion?
No, I heard the same thing from Mr. Clausen. He'd be interested in it, and I think it'd be, we need to fill these positions.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, so there are two vacancies that are filled. Moving on to Board of Zoning Appeal, there's three vacancies. Is there any motions
I'd like to move all three, Mr. Mayor.
that are left?
Yes.
Is there a second to that?
Yeah.
Second by Gwen, oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Melissa? All right, is there any further discussion?
No, I just want to thank these people for stepping up for the Board of Zoning Appeals. I think that's an important job in this community, so that's how, if we have three applicants, they all seem very good, so I support them all.
Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Now I need a,
Move to authorize.
yes. Is there a second to authorization?
Second.
Second by Jack. Any discussion by authorizing? None. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-22, and we'll probably have to have a 22B?
I'll just stick them both in there.
All right.
Draft 2024-22, a resolution appointing Kenneth Crookston and Earl Clausen to the Planning Commission and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Elko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Elko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner? Resolution 2024-22 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-23 in title only?
Draft 2024-23, a resolution appointing Olivia Kennedy, Robert Zenja, and Randall Smith to the Board of Zoning Appeals and declaring an emergency.
Move adoption.
Second.
Suspension?
Suspension.
Suspension, Mike.
Move suspension.
Melissa seconded.
Second.
Got it.
Please call the
I'll
roll
get
for...
the next one.
Ms. Elko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
And Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Now move adoption.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Elko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. De Leon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
And Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 2024-23 passes.
Okay, thank you. That's it for Committee of the Whole, Committee of Development. Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes, I would like to move the committee meeting minutes from March 6, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, any discussion?
Seeing none, all in favor
Yeah.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
You want to
That
move?
passes.
You want to move?
Yeah,
the
I'd like
motion?
to move the 4 actions.
Second.
Second by Roger. Any discussion on the actions?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The actions pass. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-24 in title only?
Draft 2024-24, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to renew the agreement with the Haymaker Farmers Market for the subland lease of a parking lot located north of Summit Street, west of Franklin Avenue, east of Akron-Barberton Cluster Railway Company's main line track, containing .168 acres for the period of April 6, 2024 through November 30th, 2024, contingent on the continuation of the city's lease with the Akron-Barberton Cluster Railway Company for the amount of $1 and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Any discussion on adopting this? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2024-24 passes.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-025 in title only?
Draft 2024-25, an ordinance authorizing amending the city's Economic Development Revolving Loan Fund Program, RLF, to establish a fixed interest rate and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Ms. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
And Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-25 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-026 in title only?
Draft 2024-26, a resolution appointing Eric Helmstetter and reappointing Bridget Susel to the Tax Incentive Review Council and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Please call the roll for suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-26 passes.
Okay, that's it for community development. Moving into health and public safety. Mr. Amrine.
Yeah, I'd like to move the minutes from the March 6th meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And I'd like to move the one action recommended.
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-029 in title only?
Draft 2024-029, an ordinance amending Section 509.12 of the codified ordinances of the City of Kent titled Unlawful Noise and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
And Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Is there any discussion on adopting? Mike?
I'm going to vote no, just because I don't think it's had enough time, full cycle in the year, for this to take part of.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify, what?
Roll call.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
I think I'm going to vote no.
Mr. Sidoti?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
I'm going to abstain.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-29 passes.
Okay,
You
thank
didn't get
you.
to vote
That's
that time.
it for health and public safety. Moving into street sidewalks and utility, Mr. Sidoti.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move the March 6, 2024 committee meeting minutes.
Second by Melissa. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
I'd also like to move the 2 actions that were recommended out of committee.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on the actions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Would the clerk read draft number 2024-027 in title only?
Draft 2024-27, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to continue the East Main Street Improvements Agreement between the City of Kent, Kent State University, and Portage Area Regional Transportation Authority, HARTA, and begin the final phases of the project and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension. Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Mr. Amrine.
Yes.
Ms. Selko.
Yes.
Mr. Clapper.
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon.
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes.
And Ms. Schaefer-Bish.
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion? Heidi?
Yeah, I just want to say this is yet another one of those seminal projects that we are way out ahead on the curve on as a city, and I just really want to commend every partner that's involved with this. It's a tremendous way to improve safety for our citizens, and just the fact that, you know, it extends that safety corridor beyond the university into an area that's heavily populated in the township, and I just think it's fantastic.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Mr. Amrine.
Yes.
Ms. Selko.
Yes.
Mr. Clapper.
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon.
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes.
And Ms. Schaefer-Bish.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-27 passes.
Okay, would the clerk read draft number 2024-028 in title only?
Draft 2024-28, an ordinance accepting and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the following agreements with the City of Kent, Ohio, with the city obtaining temporary easements for right-of-way purposes to install, construct, and reconstruct the roadway for the project known as the East Main Street Improvement Project and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension. Second.
Second by Gwen. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
And Mr. Sidoti.
Yes. Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Is there any discussion on adopting this?
Yes.
Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Mr. Amrine?
Yes.
Ms. Selko?
Yes.
Mr. Clapper?
Yes.
Mr. DeLeon?
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish?
Yes.
And Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-28 passes.
Okay, that's all the business on the streets and sidewalks. Any unfinished business? Heidi?
Yeah, in the past, or actually since recycling moved out of the city, we've had a liaison to the solid waste district. And it usually has been somebody from council, but it can be a community member as well. And I have found a community member that is willing to do this, who has lots of experience, and that would be Tracy Wallach. So I'm not sure whether we put this on for us to vote on at a future meeting, or can I just make the motion now?
Let me say, I heard about this yesterday, and I think it's a tremendous idea. The person that well represented this city for years can do it again, and they do not have to be a elected official. You can make your motion to approve Tracy Wallach.
Okay, I would like to make a motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
No, I think it's a great choice.
Yeah.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Welcome aboard again, Tracy. Where is she?
Thank you, Tracy, for willing to serve.
Thanks for doing that.
Retirement's getting to you, huh? No, I think you all deserve it. Any more unfinished business? New business, any new? Jack?
Yeah. You know, what Mrs. Manaki was talking about, I think, is just makes common sense that we should not have semis in driveways or parked in streets. You know, it seems to me that we already have an ordinance, 33.902 seems to fit that ordinance, but was not really enforced. So I would like to propose that we put this into committee to sharpen up that language a little bit, to make sure that it's clear and concise that semis will not be allowed to be parked in driveways or on streets.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Further discussion, Jack?
No.
Heidi, further discussion?
I just want to say that Mrs. Manaki made a great argument, and if I was living next door to this semi, I would be outraged. And it's not just the noise, but it's also the emissions
Doesn't send that traffic to them.
and the wear and tear on our roads. So I think it's important for us to look at this with clear eyes.
Okay, Melissa? Oh, I thought you said,
Jeff.
Jeff?
I think that when this discussion comes up, it'll be a good opportunity to discuss some other commercial traffic issues throughout town and how those can be addressed at the same time.
Okay. Robin?
Yeah, the overall, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think this was even an issue. Because I've, in my neighborhood, already had issues with commercial vehicles being in an area. People consider those being business. They should not be in residential areas. I'm actually, and that's something I probably would, and have gone to war about on my end of town already. So I think what we need to do is have a better understanding and coordination about the enforcement mechanism. I know that I've used our community development department, who's stepped up and addressed that before. There are other issues, but this is a clear one that I don't think, you know, I'm very sorry that you had to get up, and luckily you reached out to your councilman and he instructed you. But that, and also tremendous presentation, the way that you did that.
That one there, the one that was parking large vehicles in residential districts, that one only speaks to public property. And where the police said that they got away is because it was located on private property. So, you know, that 35117, you know, it has to be, and I'm assuming when it was amended in '05, nobody was driving semis home. I mean, but now in 2024, you know, I mean, at least this gentleman is using his tractor, you know, as a personal conveyance from where he drops his trailer home, as opposed to leaving the tractor and the trailer wherever he drops the trailer, you know, and uses one of his two personal vehicles, which you can see in the photos. One's either parked in his driveway in front of the tractor on his front yard, and the other one's always parked on the street in front of their house. And it doesn't move for weeks on end. It's been there for 7 days as it is, and the little parking guy doesn't come by and put a little hash mark on the tire. It's baffling. You know, I don't understand how the police even could tell me that, oh, too bad, you know, he has to do this, you know, he's in his driveway, he's allowed to run it, you know, it's too bad that you're woken up at 3:30 in the morning and can't go to sleep, and now you get to drive to Berkshire, drive to Heights and teach kids all day, you know, or to my son-in-law, you know, you get to go to work at Daisy Tree and operate a bucket truck and a chainsaw and a chipper and climb trees and everything in your exhausted state because you're not getting proper rest because of the noise and vibration. That's basically the attitude I was given by the police and also by...
I'm going to have to, we're in a motion, and it's up to this body to speak. I'm sure it's going to go to a committee meeting, and we're going to hear it again.
Okay.
All right? I apologize if I'm being rude, but
No.
it's my second nature. I can't help it. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think there are two salient points here, 5 tons versus 15 tons.
Right.
That's coming down our neighborhood streets, going over our sewer laterals and on a consistent basis. I think that's an issue. And the second issue is that if the trailer's being parked off-site somewhere, he can leave the tractor there and pick his car up and come home. So it seems to me that here's an example of just blatant disregard for neighbors, and the fact of the matter is that the law really should not allow this type of to go on. So I support it going on.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just
Mr. Turner?
Well, final point. My dad was a long-distance truck driver. He would park his vehicle at Pop's truck stop and drive his car back to Kent. So while I'm sympathetic to the truck driver,
me too, but
this has been going on for ages.
I'm sorry. I make the big bucks here. I don't want to tell you. I can't listen to you right now.
Come back to the committee discussion.
All right, I'm going to call for the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, because I can't speak in a motion, I'm going to say something now. You have a tow truck up from where the truck is parking. They're running a business out of their house up there. They park their truck out on the street. Years ago, where Jeff used to live, we had the same problem. We had a tractor trailer sitting in there, and he'd be on the weekends tuning it up, revving it up, and it was destructive. But I can't remember how we got rid of it, but we did. So, all right, any more new business? Gwen?
Yeah, I'd like to send to committee the motion that we no longer require candidates or applicants for boards and commissions to come before council for in-person interviews. That's my motion.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it for a conversation.
Second for Roger. Further discussion, Gwen?
Yeah, I feel like there's a number of things at issue. We have an application that has questions on it. We very oftentimes receive a resume. Very often the applicants are known and they're volunteers. So it's not unusual for people to have such an uncomfortable feeling and distaste for public speaking that to speak publicly in a public forum where a job interview essentially is public record and displayed on video, that it would be a deterrent to attract people who are just looking to volunteer because they're civic-minded, people who are interested in participating in local government. I think that the process of selecting someone, I think, is robust enough already that I don't think that we need to require them to come and stand at this podium and take questions from potentially 10 different people, all aired on live television, essentially. That seems like a hurdle that I think would prevent people, good people who are interested in doing it, from volunteering. So I'd just like to send that to committee for discussion.
Roger, you second the motion?
Yeah, I'm torn both ways because I don't want to have anyone discouraged from willingly volunteer to be on boards. And if that's a deterrent, then I have some concerns about it. On the other side of the coin, many of our panels, I'm thinking Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, is a public airing. So their comfort level in public, I see where Gwen's going, that it's a little different than being now on television. Soon to be standing in a new city hall, which is have a little bit more of a flavor to it. So I think I'd like to see it in committee, and let's maybe do some research. Let's talk to some of our board members and see how they felt about being up here standing and get some feedback that way. So I support it.
Heidi?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to vote against it because while I know that it's uncomfortable, I remember years ago, before I was on council, it was somebody asked me to interview for a very important, what turned out to be a really important citizens group, where, you know, there were several people that were interviewing for this position, and it was scary, but it was such an honor to serve. And I think that the people that get through that experience of being in front of us, that is part of the public process of what they do. And it also gives us more information and an opportunity to ask questions. I think that we found a couple of times during my tenure that it was important to get as much information as we could on our candidates so that we could make a wise decision, because these boards and commissions are so very important, and they can put us in legal jeopardy as well. So I think the more information, the better. I don't think we're very harsh on these candidates. We're very grateful for them to come, and I think we're also very sympathetic as to understanding that it's not always easy to be up in front of council. So I think, if anything, we've actually made it more strict, that we expected people to come rather than just making it an option, and I agree with that. So,
further discussion, Mr. Turner?
Yeah, I'll have to concur with Heidi. I understand what Wynn's trying to do, because I think that's valuable too. You do probably kind of tamp down the number of people who may want to apply, but that's a valuable tool for council to be able to look and see the demeanor of the person, exactly how they would apply things, questions that we really need to I think have answered, and having them in front of us, looking at their ability to respond to the questions that we throw out, I think is valuable to us. And so while I respect and appreciate you bringing that up, because I do think that could be an impediment for some people, it's also, I think, a valuable tool for us.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. One.
no.
Okay, is there any further new business? Councilperson's comments, any? Roger?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that Saturday, of course, was a difficult time for our police department in the city of Kent. The ceremony at Roosevelt High School was as moving as anything I've ever been at. I am so proud of our uniformed, both our fire department and our police department that were there. I thought that seeing the show, the sign of the school people who were there, who thought Patrolman Butcher was just outstanding, working in our schools. I think that it was a sense of community there, and it was a tremendous feeling of sadness on one hand, deep sadness for losing Matt Butcher, but on the other side of the coin, it was very uplifting, because it really spoke to who we are in the city of Kent as a community. And I have to tell you, it was just heartwarming to see the support that his family got and our uniformed people got here in the city of Kent. I can't say enough about the whole situation. So that was just my comment, Mr. Mayor.
Further comment? Heidi, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I have a comment. I don't want to make a motion yet because I think it's too early, because I want to get through the fall election. But I think that we need to really consider, how are we going to get the word out to so many people whose wards are changing, that they have a different representative. And I realize they're going to get something from the Board of Elections that says you're going to go to this precinct. But, I think we need to consider that over the next 6 months or whatever, until, I don't want to confuse people before the election in the fall. But, afterwards, I think it's incumbent upon us to figure out some way to do that. So that's not a motion, it's just a comment It does impact a lot of people. And I think that maybe we need to figure out how that education goes out.
Any other comments? And the mayor's thing, get it out to the public, the 8th of April, we're going to have that eclipse through Kent. Make sure people got those glasses, make sure they're wearing them to watch it. I don't want to see any burned out eyes in this city. Kent's going to be, we're not right on the track, but we're pretty close to being in the main track. So around 3 o'clock on the 8th of April, wear your glasses. I feel I have to say this, the way I voted on this ward thing. I really like Tracy Wallach's idea, but I don't think right now it's going to go anyplace. But I think this council ought to look down the road and maybe looking into this and accepting it. You know, I've been here a long time. I've heard your arguments every 10 years, and I've been here going on 28 years, so I've heard them quite a bit. And I just think it was time to put an end to this. The staff has worked very hard on it, diligent. They tried to work with your input and that, and some of it didn't work out, and some of it did. But I just thought it was time that we moved on. I seen the one issue that Robin brings up about being on Main Street crossing the river. Well, I know I worked with 2 representatives of this city that had their ward over, and then it went back across the river, and these people obviously got to the polls. And I think they will again. The Board of Election will send out a postcard next election after these ward boards go into effect, and they're going to tell them where to go vote. So I think it's going to work out. But I think down the road, you might have to look what Tracy Wallach had to say about this. With that said, happy Easter, everybody, if you celebrate it that way. God bless you.
Easter's this weekend.
Did I miss something?
No, I lost track of time. It's Easter already.
It's early.
It's early.
Go look for those Easter bunnies. They're laying them eggs, buddy.
Look for those
We're adjourned.